this, but I don't want that. I want to work off the inside of my legs well. I want to keep the knees working in unison. Notice the action here now. We're trying to work in unison. These legs are working together. They're not working separate. We're not spinning. We're putting them together. We're working in unison. This is what I call quick zone. The tighter I can work between my knees, the shorter it is that the bat must pass in this zone here. If I can stay tight in between my knees, then that zone's shorter here. If I'm wider between my legs, then the bat's got to travel through the zone longer, and it slows down, obviously. I can only have one maximum RPM in a 4-speed, 5-speed manual transmission. When I reach that RPM, I must do what? I must go to the next gear. It's the same way in hitting. I'm taking energy out of the body, stride to a power base, back knee trigger. My knees are going to continue to work in unison, together. They're not independent. They work together. The distance between my knees as I swing is the distance the bat must travel to make contact. That's the lower body quick zone. Lower body quick zone. Upper body quick zone, you're going to guess with me. Where is it? In the lever assembly and the distance between the elbows. Notice that we talk about the back elbow and its power slot. All right? Talk about the lead elbow and its elbow down action. But as we turn to look at you, we see hitters trying to hit the ball like this. Whew. The head's going to follow the hole. As soon as that goes, the head will follow it. And we have a breakdown of balance, technique, plane, vertical stacking. Everything can happen. Can happen when I increase my quick zones, my distance between my knees, caused by overstriding, right? Or the distance between the elbows, caused by muscling the bat. Stride, bang, Sally Sue. Distance between my elbows enlarges. I go to my shoulders. I'm slow and strong, swing the bat through the zone. It's what I always told basketball players. Excuse me. The basket is 2 basketballs wide. It's pretty hard to miss. Well, it's like the ball. If the pitcher throws it in the middle of the zone, any guy who's strong can usually put it in play. But the good hitter hits good pitchers. The good hitter covers the lateral strike zone, that strike zone that's from the inside corner to the outside corner. We're going to open the season this afternoon with Missouri Southern. They'll have some quality athletes. The difference between the two clubs hitting-wise will be that we'll have a lot of people who can cover the zone. You can make a good pitch in, we'll adjust to it. You can make a good pitch away, we'll move to it. Where most other athletes have to have the ball in the middle to hit it. This is a matter of being able to adjust the lower body and keeping the quick zones. Good term, distance between the elbows, distance between the knees are the quick zones for the upper and lower body reaction. We have a number of gimmicks and gizmos to teach power collectors and pressure points, but we also are concerned about the quick zones. I tie their arms together. I used to tape them together, you know, but Mom started calling because it was tearing the kid's hair off his arms and silly stuff like that. And I had to develop more inventive type ways to get his elbows together. So we tie them together or use some Velcro or strapping and things of that nature. We use a number of things to keep the feet together. Hopefully during our drill segment today we'll have an opportunity to move in that direction. Please understand your quick zones. Now a second point, and we'll move to some questions from the audience. Very important to understand the belly button. Since it is the center of centralization of energy, and at the power base, we look at it. As we move to the baseball to make contact, stride, power base, vertically stacked, very solid. Vertically, I can jump. I can collect and gather energy at this particular point. The belly button then turns with the back knee and takes a picture of the pitch. So let's assume that old Coach Ward's got him a little tiny Japanese camera in there, right? And every time he moves to the power base, gear number 1, gear number 2, he's going to take a belly button picture of the pitch. Now, this tells you a little bit. We'll progress on into this when we get to the T-drill a little bit. But the belly button takes a picture of the pitch. That means if the pitch is away, the hips don't have to open as much. If the pitch is in, the belly button must continue to rotate to handle the ball in. All right, I don't want you to lose those ideas. They're picture-type terms. Develop good quick zones between the knees and between the elbows. Take a picture of every pitch and its location with your belly button. And as you take a picture, as you snap the picture, you'll be ready to release the bat. Swing it hard, hit it hard. That old batting average will rise. We'll move to question and answer situation right now.
Coach, we've had some questions called in. One of them. Coach Ward, you emphasized the back knee as a trigger to the power base. How much does it move?
I think, Jim, when we first start talking to players about the back knee, they get the idea that the back knee is a big old traumatic shift. And so we use the term trigger because the trigger of a rifle or a trigger of a gun is only an inch or two long. And so I'd rather have the guy think about the back knee trigger as being very small, not a leap, not a spasm, not a grunt reflex, just a good little quick movement that allows the back knee to trigger. Once that knee's turned, and we shall demonstrate some of the ways to develop back knee action a little bit later on, through certain placements of the body and as the hitter is working in batting practice, we'll show him that it only takes a beginning, a movement of the back knee and a small trigger. Most of the kids that come out of our Mid-America All-Star Baseball camp, you go back and coach will call and he say, geez, Johnny looks like he's falling down, and I'll have him send me a videotape or something, and I'll look, and he's caving the back knee and trying to move it 12, 14, or 15 minutes, 15 inches of movement within that type of situation. It always bothers the heck out of me to think that, well, somewhere during that camp I wasn't able to explain that quite clearly to him. But it is a trigger. It is thought to be a trigger. We can always make it slightly bigger. We can make it a double hammer trigger, Jim, and maybe expand it to 3 or 4 inches. It's very quick, very subtle, very short, carries that energy and takes the belly button to its picture-taking responsibilities.
Thanks. We have a call coming in from the audience. We'll take it now.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hello, this is
Yes,
Bob
please,
Wells.
go ahead.
Yeah, this is Bob Wells of Frostburg State University. We're on site at Allegheny Community College in Cumberland, Maryland. I have some questions here from some of the young men who are here. One question is, wants to know, would it be a good idea to put a batting glove or a tennis ball underneath your chin in order to help keep your head down when you're ready to swing? And I have other questions if you want them.
Okay, let's take them one at a time if we can.
Okay.
The head position, I think that's relative. We get guys with short necks or whatever, or long neck guys, but I don't really spend a lot of time in dealing with just the head position. I want the head position to follow the vertical stacking of the total body action. And yes, if Robin Yount talked about putting the chin on the front shoulder and tucking it down for a feel and things of that nature. We call that turtling. And we will do some work and cause the guy to turtle in, because we don't want the stride, when they go to the power base, we don't want the head and eyes to move up and down too much on striding action. And so as we set a guy up, particularly if he's long-legged, we'll do some of that, but we treat each of those hitters individually. And I merely want the head to follow the axis of the body. As long as it doesn't start tilting, I'm satisfied with it. And I want it vertically stacked. And I want the eyes to stay on plane. And we work at that aspect of it. I've tried those types of things. And again, relative to the individual kid, we're going to try to find a way to make him aware of head stability.
Good, thanks, Coach. Coach, you have another question you'd like to ask? Go ahead.
I do. A young man wants to know, regarding hitching, how can you keep from dropping his hands and causing a hitch? Is locking the bat against the rear upper arm help in that fashion? Yeah,
our next segment, Coach, is going to be our touch system, our correction system for hand action problems. And that is expressly what it's for. The touch system is very unique. It is something that rarely I've ever heard. I've just, through having to work with players, developed it. I started using the touch system 15, 16 years ago as a junior college coach.
Okay,
we've expanded that to about 6 different areas. We'll discuss that later.
Okay, well, final question, Coach, dealing with what we have talked about. In order to avoid the wraparound or bar arming or any of that prior to the pitch, what sort of body action or motion should a hitter use in preparation for the swing? What can he do to get his body in motion prior to the pitch?
Well, there are a lot of people out there that talk about inward knee rotation and inward cocking, and I really do not believe that that's the type of activity that I want. Anytime I rotate inwardly, I rotate around my vertical axis. I get circular action. I bury the back elbow, and when I come back out to swing, we're in a seated position. What happens when I inward rotate is I rotate around the vertical. When I come back out vertically. As a result, I lose my linear flow. So even though there are major league hitting coaches, lots of people talk about, cock the knee, cock the lead shoulder. I think all that does is enhance and create more problems. We're going to stay very straight away. We're going to stay very relaxed. We're going to let the striding action. We're going to have movement. Have you ever watched a cat hunt? Well, the cat is perfectly still except his tail is twitching. And he may sit there 10 or 15 minutes